and welcome to the Tamer Cardcast. My name is Zach.
I'm Marina.
And we're two new Digimon nerds that are big into this new card game, and we wanted to share our thoughts with everybody in the community. So we're going to start with some introductions since this is our inaugural episode. I'm a longtime card player.
I'm not.
Yeah. I've been playing since the release of Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in 2002, 2003. I've played Magic, Vanguard, Force of Will.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Mostly for my wallet. But the Digimon card game is probably the card game that I've been the most excited about, probably since Vanguard's release back in 2012. The mechanics of this game are super unique. I haven't played the most recent Bandai systems with the Naruto, Godzilla. Do you remember what the name of that game is called?
Chrono Clash.
Chrono Clash. Yeah, I haven't played any of the Chrono Clash systems, so this is new to me. But I love what they've done with this game.
What I have in terms of experience is not very much. When I was a child, I used to collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards. And of course, I had no idea what anything did. I mainly liked them because they had pretty pictures.
Yeah, I can remember just being terrible at Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably all the way till 2010. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And was bad at it for way longer than I ever should have been and put way too much money into it.
See, I would have my grandma buy me a pack on Fridays.
Yeah, that happened a lot for me too.
Well, I remember when I pulled my first nice card. It was an Elemental Hero, and then that was pretty much it.
Oh, wow.
That was a long time ago.
That was pretty late in the year.
I was in elementary school.
I remember getting Exodia for my birthday.
How did you even manage to do that?
Being really young when Exodia was out, and 7. I think it was my 7th or 8th birthday.
See, he had already been out a long time by the time that I jumped into that.
Oh, well. All right. Well, we should get into Digimon and not just focus on ourselves. So we got our trial decks probably about a week ago at this point. And we hit it off pretty early with the trial decks. Even as basic as they are, you can kind of start to feel the color identity, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. You can definitely tell the functions of each deck because they actually go ahead, unlike other card games. They don't have identities in trial decks usually, where it's usually very generic. It's kind of just put together. It's meant to sell the product so people will get it and just start playing so they can buy more product. But in Digimon, it feels a bit more personalized to the experience, where you of course still have the generic cards and you also have vanilla cards, but they make sure that the larger units such as Angemon or Angewoman have more identity to the deck themselves, like healing or things of that matter.
And while the trial decks did have 2 of cards that basically have found their way into every major deck as a 4 of now, even the vanilla units have really started to see some sort of impact in the meta with Rush Blue. Red obviously plays Greymon and Agumon for the Greymon archetype, and yellow obviously plays Angelmon. And it's also how all 3 of those decks have their blockers, which is a little awkward in my opinion, that you had to get a bunch of cards from trial decks.
Except blue.
No. Blue's blocker is in the trial deck.
Did the monkeys in the trial deck?
No, but they have the bear.
Yeah, the bear. And the monkey came in the booster set.
Yeah, the monkey is probably more hinting at blue being potentially more control-y defensive in the future. Right now, I really feel like it's hella aggro, and the control aspect is kind of hard to find your way into. Any game I've ever played with blue where it goes long, I just feel like I lose to yellow and red. You're just not aggressive enough.
I feel like it really depends, because as I've seen when you play blue, at least when we go back to the trial deck, blue had a really strong habit of starting out really aggressive, and once you would get where Garurumon out, or you had him for source, it made a big difference.
Yeah, that trial deck where Garurumon, I'm really curious to see how that card goes in the future. It has a really big place in a restanding mega style deck with Omnimon or Metal Garurumon, but it's very obvious looking at the European tournament results from the what's the name of the program?
Jeez,
Tabletop Simulator.
Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, from the Tabletop Simulator tournaments that, like, Big Blue is there, but it's not performing. Whereas that Facebook post from about last week from the Battle Spirits Pro that posted the Rush Blue deck, I played that for the first time today, since we opened our approximately about a case of boxes last night, and that deck is just disgusting.
It's definitely bonkers because I was able to really because the way Yellow plays is Yellow has a lot of control aspects because you deduct power from the Digimon, or rather you deduct the DP, so that way you can kill them or remove them or just make it so they can kill themselves. But the other problem with it is with the blue deck, when you go Rookie Rush, is it goes fast and wide, and when you do that to Yellow doesn't have the opportunity to build up properly, so you can't actually counteract it unless you really consider what kind of blue deck you're playing against, because you play against Rookie Rush entirely different than you would play against, say, like a entirely like maybe Omnimon focus deck.
Yeah, we played Big Red for probably like 4 or 5 games before that, and Big Red just was having so many problems with Yellow being able to take advantage of that like slow build up to Mega. Obviously, there's hands with Big Red where you could obviously just spiral out of control with a security attack +1, and then a security attack +1 Greymon, throw down a Metal Greymon or a War Greymon, and then just destroy your opponent's security before they can ever even get going. But I never drew that well.
I mean, I consider that, like, there's a couple of things that I really do consider, like, high rolly. Like, I do believe that tactic, because getting into that basically priority situation where you can get all of those down in the right order is super rare in any deck. Like, I would be extremely surprised if I was able to, say, go Andromon and then go into Seraphimon. I've hit Seraphimon, like, 1 game. I only have 1 right now, but even despite that, he's Yellow's, like, main attacker. So it's really weird. Sometimes you can fall into super niche, extremely good situations, but a lot of the other time, the game makes it so you have to be able to play around with all of your cards, be versatile, and actually like be skilled enough to understand any situation and how to make any card applicable in those situations.
Yeah, I'm always worried when I play against your Yellow deck that my game plan is just going to take way too long, and then I'm just going to lose based on the fact that I can't attack through like 10 security in 1 game. It gets a little ridiculous at times, but that promo Patamon is doing some serious work.
So the thing is, it's like I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 healing cards, I believe, in here. No, 4 if you count Seraphimon.
Yeah.
Seraphimon's a very large investment, but there's 4. The Patamon is really good for late game because what Red does is Red beats you down, and it enables you to do a low cost 4 memory just to put it down to get another body on the floor, and then also it gives you a heal, which is good because Red has a habit of, because multiple security attacks, it can also kill itself. So ideally, you're not only building up yourself to last through the game, you're doing it so you can have advantage by having the opponent put themselves in an aggressive spot where they could possibly kill themselves. Of course, you can also be at a complete disadvantage. You don't always know what's in your security unless you have the new TK, but that all falls under circumstance, so you're not entirely sure.
Yeah, and just wait until this game gets more popular and you start hearing about Yellow TK or 2-cost TK.
Oh.
Everyone with the 2-cost TK. I mean, even I get triggered by 2-cost TK some games because I haven't gotten to play Yellow yet, so I don't get to feel the power. But I definitely feel the butt hurt.
If I could see something being abused later, I definitely agree that it's 2-cost TK from the trial deck, because I can understand what they were doing. It's a trial deck, so they had to make it generalized so you could actually still play, because Yellow is slower than the other trial decks. I think the best trial deck is Blue. But besides that, I think to make Yellow playable against those, you had to have a Tamer that was able to like give you some kind of blockade against those. But the problem when you do something like that is it's 2k, which is a lot, because Tie is only 1k for attack.
Yeah, Tie's only 1k.
So the other ones are very minimal, but their units are very big. But when you design a trial deck like that, when you start editing decks, it really swaps things around, because Tamers have a lot more plays because there's no removal for Tamers right now. So when you put those down, that's a plus 4K, because I run 2. That's a plus 4K to security, which when they're doing multiple security attack, you're most likely going to kill them.
Even your giant War Greymons are going to die. It's pretty rough sometimes.
I've seen an Omnimon die. It's rare, but for the fact that, you could have a Seraphimon or slash Angemon in there, and with that plus 4K, and if they restart and they want to go in,
or a security attack plus 2, or a security attack plus 1 source material, yeah, Omnimon kills himself. Maybe like once in a while.
He's very sturdy though.
Yeah, I've been really liking Seraphimon, even though normally when I play him I lose. Actually no.
You mean Omnimon?
If I play Omnimon in a situation where I'm ahead, I am winning more and I lose. If I play Omnimon in a situation where I'm equal, I've lost more often than I've won. And then if I have to slap down a 15 cost Omnimon, that hurts my soul.
So, funny thing about the 15 cost Omnimon. So, when we were first playing and we had just gotten, I think, about 3 boxes in because we had 2 separate orders, we edited our decks slightly. And he was able to actually get quite a few Omnimon right off the bat. And to that, he also got the original art. Yeah, I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, I slapped the alt art Omnimon in basically like a slightly edited blue trial deck. And that thing did really good in edited trial deck meta, let's say that. So you can go ahead and keep going with the story.
Well, so originally I got completely blended. Like, he put me in the blender and just shredded me up, juiced me, and I was like, this card is ridiculous. I'm not a fan of Omnimon. I was very salty. I was like, this card is ridiculous and broken, because at the point, I actually had less updated cards in my deck than he did in his.
We got like 3 Omnimons and basically like 1/ofs of everything else except Metal Garurumon for some reason.
Yeah, it was very rough. Like I had to play like Petermon with like 2 Petermon and 3 Tinkermon, which is, you don't want to mix like that.
I think we got like 1 Holy Angemon at that point, and that was it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, so obviously Omnimon's like wipe the board, restand, kill you. Like, it's really easy. There's not enough big removal for Were Garurumon at that point, so
there's almost no good removal in the trial deck, in my opinion, except for the level 7
I think
card.
Every deck has the big removal card for their colors, but the problem with yellows is that it's probably just way too overcosted for even already yellow.
And it doesn't even kill him. It's 10.
Yeah, it doesn't kill Omnimon.
So that's the big issue.
Yeah, yellow has a problem with Omnimon already.
Yeah, I agree on that.
But then, so I'm going ham, and then the argument comes, and she's like, all right, I need that kill something skill to be an on-play skill. And I'm just sitting there like, that would suck. That would really suck. And she's like, well, but you just haven't done it yet. You haven't seen like how this could actually play out. Lo and behold, I think it
was literally the next game.
It was like literally the next game. You get to feel the pain of putting down a mega or higher unit.
He put down Omnimon, and it basically, he couldn't do anything because his hand was bricked. It's very easy to have bricks when you're playing trial decks or even edited trial decks. That's just how they work. It's very generalized. So he bricked, and he put down Omnimon, and he took me all the way to 10, and he basically lost the game because of it. Yeah. And I was like, immediately, I was like, okay, you know what? I take it back. The on place is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I love the balancing between on place and on evolution skills in this game. It really incentivizes good deck building and good like tempo style play, which obviously with the memory system, which we'll probably touch on in another video, another podcast. The memory system is just like the best design mechanic that I've ever seen.
I think it's amazing. We've tried multiple. Vanguard has Counterblast, where you take damage, use it as a resource. Force of Will makes it so you constantly get a land out.
It's like the Hearthstone of Magic.
Essentially, yeah. And then, what is it? There's also White Schwartz, but that's a little bit kooky.
Yeah, White Schwartz is kooky.
It's not exactly
Pokemon's energy system is like dog poo-poo.
It's the same Magic problem, where sometimes you can absolutely brick.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of mana systems that require cards from 20 years ago. I've just fallen out of favor with Magic and even Pokemon, which I love Pokemon, but the energy system is one of the main problems with that game. And the memory system in this game is,
It's good.
It makes gameplay so much more dynamic than a normal card game.
Well, it's because you actually have to consider things. Because with Magic and also with Force of Will, it's very autopilot with your land system. You pull it out. And then with Counterblast and Vanguard, it's very easy. It's there. You use it. You have to decide sometimes whether or not you want it. Sometimes you take too much. Sometimes you don't take enough. And then with this game, it really, really shows the strength in a player. Because sometimes you know when to invest. Like, he's invested like a full amount. I want to just put that out there also. You can invest a large amount of mana, and that doesn't kill the game. The difference is when you give resources to other people in other games like that, you're basically signing your own death letter. But in this game, I've seen him play extremely high costs, up to like hitting me to 10 mana or 10 memory, and he doesn't lose. I'm able to use all the memory, but if you're not able to utilize it properly, or if you disrupt someone's turn, it gives the opportunity where you're not hurting yourself by giving them that 10 memory. But it's also smart and interesting because you can play down small things, you can starve them for memory, and it really just changes the entire flow of the game.
Yeah. And I mean, there are definitely decks that are built to take advantage of, like,
I think blue definitely takes advantage of that.
Blue is the best deck for taking advantage of your opponent overspending. I mean, blue is also the deck that can generate additional memory through like your cards dying, 2-cost Tamer. But playing against like yellow, Marina plays yellow mainly. So playing against yellow is the color where they probably give you like 3 to 4 mana every turn, and blue runs away with it. But then when you're playing red, it's like, are my Digivolution costs right? Did I draw like the right order of cards so that I can actually Digivolve cheaply? Or am I just going to have to like whirlwind slam like big dudes, hope they live, go in for big security attacks? And sometimes it just doesn't work. But that's the great thing about a dynamic mana system is it's not, oh, now I'm screwed because I'm at, 1 or 2 and I can't do anything. You can still do things.
That happened yesterday. We were playing or maybe even today too. We were playing the game, and you were able to actually fully Digivolve.
Yeah.
And then I basically had no. I don't think I had any rookie Digimon, so I was in a very rough spot. Because when you're missing that level spot for actually Digivolving, it makes it so you can't get your consistent draw engine, and you can't get certain source effects on things, which is bad against blue because blue completely feeds on things that don't have source Digimon.
If you can't Digivolve against blue, then you're just going to feed them so bad.
But what I did find interesting about that is at first I was doing extremely poorly, and I thought I was going to lose. I was at 2, and you were at 5. And I was able to pull out Petermon and swing out Tinkermon multiple times, and it won me the game. And I was able to win without actually... I think I maybe Digivolve from Digitama, I think, once in the game.
Yeah, there's definitely those games where you have a rough time with the Digivolution system. I think the 50 card deck is a good place for this game for letting you play with ratios and stuff like that. It reminds me a lot of Vanguard, where you really have to play with your deck ratios. Although Vanguard's way more restrictive because 17 of your cards are basically locked in. But the ability to really play with your ratios means you can kind of design how the game is going to go for you. I will put the disclaimer out there that I am neutral on null mulligans. I think this game could benefit from mulligans, but then I also think that the game might just be like too autopilot if you're able to craft your hand.
I don't think you should be able to have mulligan because I've noticed the difficulty and the interesting part of the games is like that one game I just mentioned, where if you don't have the optimal cards in your hand, a good player will be able to play around with what they can do unless you get absolutely bricked. Like there's that like the Omni one.
There are
example.
games that you get absolutely bricked. It's just the reality of card games in general.
But when you are put in the position where you actually have to consider how you can switch the tempo of the game into your favor or gain a level playing field, I think that's extremely important because it sets apart the players that are really good and the players who are just okay at the game.
Yeah. But then there's also the point to be made that it's very obvious that I'm going to put in quotes, best deck that's currently floating around is definitely the blue aggro deck, in my opinion. I think there's tournament winning decks from Tabletop Simulator that are very good in red and yellow. I really like playing red, but I can automatically see just from playing the blue deck that it was crafted by someone with a lot of card game knowledge. I think it was from a Battle Spirits Pro in I don't remember if it was Singapore or Japan.
I wouldn't be surprised. It was very big out there.
Yeah. But that deck runs fluidly. It's completely based around like rookie champion rush with their ratios. There's 20 rookies in the deck. You never skip out on draw power. Obviously, it's blue, so it has a little bit of an edge there. And then, 4 Vidramon is ridiculous. You draw so many cards. It's so easy just to fluidly go about your game plan. And that's probably where you want to try to be in this game, is trying to figure out what deck build for your color, really brings the game out fluidly. Currently, because like green, I would say green is like the broad unknown right now. There's not really a set deck style for it.
Green it's weird because green is awkward, but I don't think that means it's bad. I think it's a very interesting deck.
I think green just needs some very good tuning. All of its super rares are really good at what they do. I think Hercules Kabuterimon is maybe a little not good enough, I would say.
I could see that, but I believe Rosemon is fantastic.
Rosemon's amazing.
Rosemon makes up for that, in my opinion.
Rosemon really can hold the game down for a long time to give green the time it needs. Grand Kawagamon acts like Omnimon almost in some games.
He's a brick.
Yeah, Omnimon with piercing, like a 15k, just never dies, basically. But I think green's problem is just that it has a limited card pool because it doesn't have a trial deck, obviously. So that means there's not all these budget rookies that the other decks love to play to kind of get you off the ground. There's not really very many on-place effects at all.
They didn't get a promo either, did they?
No, they didn't get any promos.
I believe that was kind of... I think that was really rough. I think instead of giving every deck 2 promos, because, like, for example, like Godamon is complete trash.
Yeah, that promo pack has good cards and it has bad cards. I would say reds are middle of the road. I think Patamon's the best card out of that pack after we've tested with them. While Piomon is, I think, good, I don't think it's part of like the red strategy to be attacking your opponent's cards unless you're playing like a pure piercing deck. Then I think for Biomon, and I think in that deck maybe that becomes the strongest promo just because drawing cards is obviously nuts in this game. But
I think it was almost unfair though that they didn't give green a promo because the other decks all have trial decks.
Yeah.
So besides that too, it's
Sorry
like
for the chair.
all of them have 2 promos, and I believe it would have been more fair to cut all the decks that have...
It's not just 2 though. That's the thing.
What do you mean?
Well, so with the I think it's Shonen. I think they're Shonen Jump promos if I'm not mistaken. The red promo combo and the blue promo combo from that are the Agumon and Greymon and the Gabumon and the Garurumon and Weregarurumon.
Oh, there's multiple promos for them too?
So red and blue come out the gate swinging with like promos, power level, like they're here and they're down to fuck. Like,
well, the market analytics basically explain that they're the most bought out, right?
Yeah, those promos are going for like $7 each almost. That's on point with some of our super rares that are at the ultimate level. And
I think that's reasonable because I feel like those really do define and give a deck an edge because there's games that would just be entirely different without them.
Yeah, I think especially blue, if you're playing big blue, which is not the most popular archetype right now, but if you're playing big blue, you need the blue promos. Like that Garurumon and the Weregarurumon are so good. The Garurumon is in Source Effect. If you're on a Garurumon Ultimate or Mega, it gets to restand. If I'm not remembering that incorrectly. And I think where Garurumon gets it also gets to restand if you have 8 or more cards in hand. It's either it gets to restand or it gets security attack +1.
I remember you were able to actually reach the card count in your hand, but then you didn't have him.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It didn't. It just big decks have that problem where like sometimes one part of the game is going well and the other part isn't. Like sometimes you're able to really get the cards you need, but you don't get to set up on the board very well just because the mana is too much.
Yeah.
There's definitely situations where or you just don't draw your Tamer that brings you to 3 memory. I can't tell you how many games that's just like...
The starving is bad. The big thing, so fear not for people who play yellow. There are weaknesses, and I know there's like this rumor going around that people say that yellow is probably the worst color out of the 4, but that's definitely not true. I think a fantastic pilot can do wonders for any deck.
Oh, yeah.
So, the first game with the rookies, for Rookie Rush that is, he starved me and put me at 1 every single time, and I was not able to hit a TK. And by the time I did hit a TK, I had 1 left.
Yeah, the game
absolutely did not do anything. I think he was able to kill me by turn 3 or 4.
I think it was turn 4. At least at the very least turn 4. You were like for sure dead.
It was like, I mean, we knew I was dead at that point. Like I don't even know if he finished the game because there was just no way.
No, I did. I got to play Vidramon and just like bap dead.
Yeah. That was a very rough game, but the thing is you have to remember what your cards in your hand do. Because I know a big thing right now is we have to recognize the game is in Japanese. I do always recommend having translations on hand because you can still read them and figure things out without giving away what's in your hand to your opponent because they have no idea what you're looking at on that list of things.
Yeah, I don't... so far we haven't gone through with the whole idea of like making like little translation paper and putting it in the cards.
I don't think it's worth it. I
don't think this game is that complex yet that you need to start doing stuff like that. If this was something like Yu-Gi-Oh or
even Weiss has that,
or Weiss, yeah, Weiss would be really bad.
Weiss has insane skills that make no sense.
Even Vanguard sometimes can be that bad.
If you're playing a Great Nature,
not so much. Yeah, if you're playing some deck with like a wall of text on it. But I like honestly like I almost know all the effects in Red without even like printing out a translation sheet, just from reading the cards on the digital Digimon Card Network.
Fantastic site, super great resource.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. If you guys need resources, find the Digimon Card Game 2020 Facebook group and start looking in there. The Digimon Card Network is linked a ton. There's a Digimon like card deck. I forget the name of the exact site for deck building. I've used it a little bit. I haven't gotten into it so deep, but they're still working on it.
We can also go ahead and for these sites, we don't remember them right now offhand, but once this is posted, we can check the description and we can put them in there.
We'll put them in the description. They host deck lists from certain tournaments. I think the major like tabletop simulator tournament has those deck lists on there. You can build your own deck list. All the cards are translated. The only thing that throws me off sometimes is they change the names to the English names for the attacks, where I'm used to the direct translations. So I'm getting into confusing conversations with people online.
What, like Cockadus Breath?
Yeah, like Cockadus Breath. I forget what Metal Garurumon's other attack is in English that he uses, but their translation teams are fantastic. I think there's even sites in Spanish too, if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, like the resources for this game are amazing. I'm super excited for this community and how it's going, because obviously like we're all working through this together right now. There are a little bit of card game, veterans that are coming in from other card games. I've seen some of the Vanguard community. I don't know much of the other communities at this point. And then there's also people coming in from the Japanese card games. Obviously, people that are playing Battle Spirits and are playing Duel Masters right now are probably pretty interested in this game.
Duel Masters for sure. I've seen that mentioned several times in regards to this game.
Yeah, it really feels like Duel Masters. I'm sad that Duel Masters died in NA. I played it for like a little bit as a kid. But this game definitely takes heavily after Duel Masters in some respects.
I think it definitely improves on a lot of those things also, because it's always going to be the fact that game is older. And having something this new and brushed up, I really think they moved with the times in card games, and they saw the problems with other games, and they definitely evolved from those.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how I feel about some games where they really cut off the like idea of you really interacting with your opponent's turn very much. I think Digimon did a really good thing with the source effects, or sorry, not source, security effects, and the security Digimon fights, meaning that there's actually like things you can prep for, things you can deck build for, so that your opponent's turn isn't just their turn. There's things that can go on that you can really interact with them. Obviously, green has like Flow Cannon, which is a crazy card.
That card is probably the highest value card that deck has.
In security, for sure.
Besides Rosemont, that is.
Security effects tap all of your opponent's Digimon without blocker. So obviously, like, if your opponent's smart and playing around your security effects, they can go like, little dude big dude first, try and weed it out, or attack your Digimon first and try and, work your way through.
I think at that point it's important to weed out the small things in green, because several times was like basically stopped in the middle of my phase by Flow Cannon and things of that sort. Blue has the same combat where I could be attacking you and you will be able to bounce my units, and that is absolutely
getting Caucus Breath and security is like game changing. It's like the nicest part of this game is just the tempo back and forth. Even during your opponent's turn, you still have to consider like, how much mana am I going to give my opponent? Is their security going to screw me? Playing against yellow, attacking into security is the scariest thing on the planet. Unless you're just literally like sacrificing everything to go at them.
What's interesting too is, so in comparison, because security, I'll compare this to triggers in Vanguard, because it's almost the same effect where it's the randomized portion of the game, because you have no idea what's in there unless you're playing yellow, where if you hit the TK, you can actually observe, you can pick, and then you can throw one in. But besides that, you're not entirely sure what could happen. So in Vanguard, there's trigger effects, where you attack with your main unit, and the trigger effects occur where you can either deal more damage, you can draw a card, you can give power to the front row, or you can heal a damage from yourself. I believe that they improved upon something like that, very similar, but they took out the aspect that made it feel extremely cheesy.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you like had this like bar to entry to attacking security, and your opponent just put up this giant wall that you couldn't even see coming. Like, there's no way to prep for it outside of like...
You can try to anticipate it by having units behind it to boost and give power to the unit in front of it, but even that doesn't provide actual like compensation for what can happen.
It's just something that you have to like be ready to get screwed. And this game doesn't have as much of that. Obviously, like, a couple of the option cards are really strong in security. But I wouldn't say like anything...
It's never game breaking is the thing.
Yeah, Flow Cannon isn't exceptionally game breaking, because normally, like, really, are you going to attack like 4 times in one turn?
It's strong, but I consider it fair, because so originally I had a disposition where I believed the green Tamers were not nearly as good as some of the others, but I don't believe that anymore, because I've noticed with the green Tamers, if you get enough out, it's like you said when we were playing the game, you're able to spiral it into a whole different direction, where eventually you're running so many units, and if you have Rosemont on the board, you're pressuring your opponent so much where you could easily just outpace them.
Yeah, there is a thing, like, you can easily get outpaced when fighting against green. It doesn't always win them the game, however.
It doesn't.
Green is definitely this weird spot where it has to play very generic tempo, and just try and like get to Mega, draw enough cards that the game goes smoothly. A lot of their effects are honestly like a little like...
Piercing is also, it's very good, but the issue with piercing is it can be extremely damaging and it can kill your units.
Piercing can kill your units. Checking the top 3 for like Togemon, the rock potato.
The rock potato.
I forget his name. Effects like and Palmon, effects like that are obviously like very powerful when on paper, but in play you just end up like bottom decking all these important cards, and this game does not have search yet. It doesn't have like, it doesn't have a way for you to shuffle your deck so far. So
yeah, that's extremely rough. The only thing you can shuffle as of right now that I believe you can touch in on is security.
Yeah, it's only shuffling your security after TK. That's almost the only shuffle effect in the whole game right now.
I think that's the only effect, too, that really changes how you have to sequence things, because you could draw something, and that would have been better in security. Of course, you won't know, but I really think that is one of the main cards that changes your order of operations.
Yeah, and it's not, but the thing, the order of security only kind of, like, slightly changes the game. Obviously, like, there's some stuff that you can change when you shuffle security, like your opponent's little Digimon aren't just going to get through maybe anymore. But really not being able to shuffle your deck is just such a huge impact on green in particular, that it can really, like...
Green also has a mill effect.
Well, it's not that it's milling, it's that Izzy really, like, turbos through your deck. And I'm going to try a new build where you try and just, like, get to ultimate, maybe not even worry so much about megas outside of Rosemon, and maybe like 1 or 2 Grand Kawagamon, and then just use Izzy to keep up with any opponent, because Izzy has shown himself to be like one of the best 2-cost Tamers. I wouldn't say the best because it's the most situational.
I think he's very interesting though, because he fixes the issue a lot of the other decks have, where it helps you not brick in some cases.
But it's also a card that requires you to not brick in the first place.
That's also true.
Like, the problem with the Green Tamers is, as much as they're just, like, absolutely nuts when they get going, is they feel like either, like, win more or only a tiny little bit, like, maybe get ahead. For the most part, if you have an ultimate or a mega and your opponent isn't opposing that card actively, you're hopefully running away with the game, but obviously one mega isn't always game breaking. Like, if you're just sitting on Rosemon and nothing else, then you can just lose, and that's happened to me many times.
I think one thing that we should also touch on, because I'm sure people are curious while they're listening to this, what do we believe is we already said we believe the best deck in format is Rookie Rush Blue. Well,
I'm gonna say this, like, right now. I think having a general meta discussion is kind of
difficult.
It's difficult right now. Deck builds are not cemented in stone. There's a lot of things with this game that are much more on play style. I think Yellow has a really good deck build in that deck from the Tabletop Simulator tournament. Marina's been kind of piloting like a hybrid of that and some of her own choices. Where, like, the on-place ultimates will allow you to go into Seraphimon the next turn pretty easily. And if you're not playing Yellow, killing an untapped ultimate isn't exactly the easiest thing on the planet.
No.
And I think Blue's Rookie Rush is very powerful. It's not even really Rookie Rush. I know that what real Rookie Rush looks like is, like, tricolor, like, insanity. But it's able to pull off, like, Rookie Rush plus cheap champions way better than the other decks, just because of, like, Veedramon, Zudomon, all these Gabumon, all these draw power cards that really, like, make that a deck able to just, like, steamroll someone if they're not able to keep up with you at all.
What do you think? Because there's going to be a lot of new people who are listening also, and I've had several people just want to hear about a lot of general things, but I think one thing we should touch on is, what do you think is probably the easiest deck to pilot, and what do you think is the hardest deck to pilot? Or rather, consider also in that deck building and other things like that.
So, the thing I would say for new people right now is obviously, like, getting a hold of cards is going to be your hardest thing right now, just because singles aren't really... excuse me. For North America, Europe, areas where we're not, easily located in Asian countries where you could probably import these cards fairly easily.
Or use things like UUTE.
Yeah, have access to UUTE, stuff like that. For our English listeners, it's going to be pretty hard to get your hands on cards. I would definitely recommend that if you can find a way to get a hold of green is probably fairly cheap and the easiest to start with deck building. But if you can get your hands on trial decks, which I know is difficult right now.
Well, they're out of print, I believe, until when?
July.
I believe
I
so.
think there are still a few places that are.
There's definitely shops online, but you have to find
international like websites that have trial decks still. I would recommend Japan You Want. They've come through me pretty well. And I'll have to look up the other shop that I got my 8 boxes from. They were amazing as well. DHL has been really putting in the overtime on international shipping. And we'll link those websites in the description. But if you can get your hands on trial decks, red is definitely like the place to start. The only problem is red and blue are gonna be killers on your wallet.
They're definitely expensive decks. What I like about yellow is it's not extremely expensive to update. For example, like Omnimon for those 2 decks is $25 if you use him, which most people do. But besides that, Seraphimon is $10. So
yeah, Seraphimon and Holy Angemon are both about $10. The thing with red and blue is blue you could probably play really budget pretty easily. And then upgrade with Vidramon is the main upgrade, which, I mean,
he's very hard to obtain.
Vidramons are about $30 each and extremely difficult to obtain. But Blue's budget game is probably the best. Whereas Red has the biggest top end with, War Greymon, Metal Greymon, Omnimon.
I believe it's just for Red Trial deck, Greymon is absolutely insane.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like the red trial deck plus like some upgrades that aren't super expensive gives you ultimates with security attack +1. And that's a really great place to start because you can kind of get a feel for the mechanics of security, for source effects. Like red is very generalist at the moment with big attacks.
I would always recommend picking up a yellow trial deck, even if you're not going to main yellow, because I think it's extremely important to understand how the mechanic is going to work, because you're going to run into yellow and the healing and things like that, and being able to like peek into it even though the trial deck doesn't have it. You can also proxy or do things like that. I think it's very important to be able to peek into how that mechanic works.
Yeah, I think if you have a player in your locals and you want to try it, locals, we're in quarantine obviously. If you have a partner or a friend that you're comfortable playing with,
or even using tabletop simulator,
or using tabletop. Obviously, like, it's Corona time. Use tabletop if you need to. Please,
do not go outside.
Keep yourself healthy. But if you have someone that is comfortable playing yellow, it's an amazing deck to test against because I really feel like you can get a feel for the other decks while playing them. I don't know if that's the case with yellow. I think yellow is a deck that you need to play against to really feel it.
I definitely agree with that. It's and I'm of course I am biased because I only play yellow, but I've noticed that how yellow plays and how other decks play against yellow is entirely different dependent on the build, because when he played Rookie Rush, I had to really consider my strategy for the next game. When he played red, it's entirely different than how I would play against just blue. And we've yet to actually try the yellow mirror match because we don't have enough product. But yellow is very good for testing because it can be, depending on the player and also the build, it can be fast or it can be slow. And when something is that slow but yet still challenging, it enables you to actually be able to try out the full potential of your deck and try out the combos or ideas that you want to try while still being in a space where you are taking a chance and you could still lose the game.
Yeah. And another thing I would definitely point out is that if you start with trial decks, especially if you're playing trial deck versus trial deck, you are going to feel the power of the blocker mechanic, and you're going to feel the power of those high-cost option cards.
Also, make sure you Digivolve and you put your blocker on it, because that makes it so cheap. That is a huge important thing in my opinion.
Yeah, the 6-cost champions are some oof if you're not just slapping down Vidramon, in my opinion. So you got to learn the Digivolution turn order, the benefits of going first versus second, and these are all things you can pick up in the trial deck. And then you'll start to feel the color identities in there. I think blue and red really define themselves with the cards in the set. I think yellow kind of expands upon its identity. It's not so much like this big game changer with Vidramon and Metal Greymon.
Yeah, those completely change how you play, and I think it's good because it gives room for more builds. But yellow is kind of weird because when you get your stuff from the booster, you just expand on the concepts, like you said, that you already have.
Yeah, it's like it's more removal, more healing.
There's a lot of on place though. I've noticed when you update it with the booster.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we've been going on long enough at this point. We should
definitely agree with that.
So have a good day, everybody. Stay safe. Stay inside. Follow your local government to the best of your ability.
Don't go outside, seriously.
Yeah, just don't go outside.
Please don't.
And thanks for listening.